Yo, what's up, guys? I'm Nice Lead here, and welcome to a brand new series. Um, so I've seen a lot of these videos where people are on Reddit and read stories about entitled parents, and I like those videos, so I decided to go on Reddit and look at some of the stories and read them out to you today. Let's start this. My son broke his computer. He's allowed to use yours. That sounds lovely. I was 12. My parents moved us to a new place. Our neighbors were unpleasant. There were the EM and father. Never met him, can't call him entitled. With two sons. One was 13, the other was 8 or 9. The older brother, OB, was a decent guy. We were school bus pals, but the younger one was an issue. But looking back on it, he probably had a social disorder like Asperger's or perhaps ADHD. My mom did not like this kid. A few incidents happened before with him, and my mom nicknamed him Orange-Haired Goblin. I'll call him OG. This story is told from my mother's perspective as she dealt with EM despite this happening over 10 years ago. I do remember that it happened, but the written dialogue here is pulled from my mother's retelling from the story, so there is a tad of embellishment. This was the day of a dial-up in my country. It was fantastic. My mom and I had a system where I'd quickly load a flash game with a heads up, then disconnect from the internet and plug the phone back in. It was the school holidays, so it was just my mom and I at home when dad was at work. So it was otherwise empty house when this happened. Mom, OP, you're supposed to give a heads up when you're unplugging the phone. I need to make a call. Me from the backyard. I'm not on the computer though. I'm outside. Mum pokes her head out of the kitchen window, sees me, and looks confused. She turns around. She and I have the same idea, so we both head to the room with the computer and we find OG. Excuse me, what are you doing? My mom told me I could use your computer. Why don't you use yours, despite hating this kid? My mother is not unreasonable. She's not going to get annoyed with an 8 or 9-year-old. I broke it. Well, I'm sorry, but you can't decide that. You have to ask for permission. Besides, you can't let yourself in our house anyway. You can finish the game, but I need to plug my phone back in, so you can't load anything else. Then gives me a look that meant keep an eye on him. She later told me she didn't want him to break our computer if he indeed broke his own, so she needed me to keep an eye on him. He leaves, then 10 minutes later we hear a knock on the door. I go to answer, but my mom gets there first. My kid told me you wouldn't let him on your computer. Sorry, who? My son. Oh, right. The kid who let himself in. He told me you told him he could use our computer. Why is that? His was broken, and I needed to entertain him, so that makes it okay. I wouldn't have minded letting him if you had just discussed it with me first. He's an angel. There's no harm in him using it. Clearly, there is if he broke his one. At this point, she must have been getting annoyed. I heard this part for myself as she started shouting very loudly. He only broke his keyboard. He spilled his drink on it. It's safe for him to use yours because he learned his lesson. Still doesn't give him or you the right to come and go as you please and use our property without permission. But you said you would let him, so what's the problem? The problem is a strange kid I barely know just walked into my house and used my computer because his mother said he could. If that's how you treat your neighbors, then you or your children aren't welcome anymore. My mum slammed the door, and that was the last we heard from EM. Though she'd stare at us if she saw us leave the house, my mum would make jokes about the kid if she saw him on the street. Like, crap, it's the orange-haired goblin. Remember to lock the door. When school resumed, I was talking to the older brother on the school bus. He told me that his mother asked him to steal our keyboard if he ever comes around again. He understood this. His mom was a wackadoodle, so we just had a laugh about it. My mom finds the neighbor's kid let himself into our house, use our computer with his mother's permission. My mom sends him home to the fury of EM. EM demands that we let her angel use the computer. My mom refuses, so EM asks her older son to steal our keyboard. P.S. A lot of people are wondering how the kid got inside without us knowing. Doors are usually kept unlocked where we live, but we learned our lesson and started locking it after. P.P.S. The EM asked her older son to steal the keyboard because she knew I was friendly with him. She didn't ask OG to steal it. Sorry for any confusion. So, that kid's mom told her kid to go into your house and use your computer just 'cause he broke his own, and then told her older son to steal it if you ever invited him to your house. That's screwed up, guys. Like, come on. How are there people like this in the world? Let's go to the next one. K almost kills me, EM gets arrested and sued, and I get PC upgrades. Happy ending. First, subscribe to PewDiePie. Hell yeah. The title may sound clickbait, but that is sort of a TLDR in the story. The story happened 2 years ago when I was 12. I am new to this sub, so I am just recalling past memories of entitled character stories. English is not my first language, so there might be some errors. Feel free to tell me that. Year 2016, India. Yes, I am from the land of T-Series. Oh my god. It was my birthday, and I was told to invite at most 10 of my friends with family. We had small home, still living there though, so I called 9 of my closest and only friends, and my neighbor. The neighbor included EK, EM, and a kind dad. The dad was the one we always met and were familiar with, so we thought that the rest of the family would be the same. The day I reduced 20 points for bad judgment. No, EK is a girl who is 9ish, EM is around 35, and the father is 40. I might refer to EK and EM collectively as EP, entitled people, and the family as N, neighbor. Characters: EK, entitled kid, EM, entitled mom, CD, cool dad, sis, sister, mom, my mother, dad, my father, me, my pet unicorn. Enough about N now. It was my birthday after all. N came over. This was actually the first time we saw EP. The party was at 8, but I decided to call my friends earlier, around 6, so we could play some games on my new computer that I had built with my father the very day. When the party was about half hour away, N came. Me and my friends were in my room, unaware of the calamity that was gonna happen. EM and CD sit in the living room with my mom and dad and mom talking about stuff adults talk about: politics, sports, mostly cricket, stocks, children, etc. During all this, EK sneaked into my room. She saw us playing and asked if she could play as well. Can I play too? Me. No, you are too young for this game and won't like it. I don't remember what game it was, but it was a violent game. Okay. It all goes well. This is probably where you think EM will come, but she didn't. It was 8. I was called to cut the cake. I blew the candles on the homemade cake that my mom made. I searched for the knife. We used steel and bladed knives for cutting cake, and did not find it. My sister, mentioned in my previous post, is 5 years older. Saw the knife in EK's hand. She was a little too late to see and react to that, though. EK stabbed me in the arm. Everyone panicked as I shouted as loud as a police siren amplified with a megaphone and played through a loudspeaker at full volume. It may have been loud and enough to break rocks in Brazil. As soon as my mom knew what had happened, she called the first ambulance. The police, then the police, and the star did. Okay, that's another error. Shouting at EK. EM got mad now. You can't shout at my daughter like that. Mom, she effing stabbed my son's arm. She was playing our son, didn't it? What? Our son? She said she was playing. Your son did knit. Oh, did not let her play on your PC. Do she wanted to cut the cake? She missed and accidentally stabbed your son. It's his fault. What the F? I think she said fairy. She did nothing wrong. EK was crying from the shouting. She probably realized that they were shouting on or about her. My dad was doing first aid on my arm, and my sister was telling everybody to leave so as to not create any scene. No one left though, as the police was called. The police arrived before the ambulance. Police siren. Closer to us than police station is closer to us than the hospital. What the F? Said the cop. He saw blood overflowing from the layers upon layers of band-aid. My dad rapped on the wound. He asked about the situation, which was my sister and my friends and their parents replied, seeing the opportunity. EM tried to leave with EK. Note that CD had left early as he had to do some business. She managed to escape, but lived next door. After knowing the situation of seeing me and being taken to the hospital on a stretcher, I had lost a lot of blood. EM was arrested for EK's attempted murder and lost custody of EK after her divorce with CD. I got 15 stitches and 2 months off of school. I got to stay home and watch a lot of anime. It turned out well. We later sued her and got about $2,000 on top of her arrest and divorce. I got PC upgrades with the remaining $400 after my medical bills. Well then, the kid stabbed you, and the mom said it was your fault. I really don't get people. I truly do not. Well, guys, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Please leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you all later. Tell me if you want more of this, and peace.